There we go. Looks like I think everything is working right now. I've had a little stumbling block there, which is, by the way, why I start the class a little bit early. So, first and foremost, I want to welcome everybody to our presentation tonight, how to generate 3% per month with as little as one option trade per week. My name is Ron Wheeler, and I'm really excited to have you with me tonight because we got some great stuff to cover. Now, before we actually cover that, we're going to start at 4:30 Eastern time, so in about 3.5, 4 minutes. Before we start, though, I want to do a quick microphone check. So if you can hear my voice, if you can see my screen, it should say on air. Just do me a favor, type a Y or yes in the chat. That way I know that everything is working properly. When I first started the class today, I was, for some reason, not broadcasting properly on the microphone. So I had to kind of fix that real quick. And now everything I think should be working good. All right, I see Charles and Richard, Mohammed, Jerry, or Gary and Ken and Willis and Edward and Michael. All right, good deal. Looks like everybody so far can hear my voice. Now you guys are starting to pile in on me, so I can't see all the names. But perfect. Looks like everything is working right, which I like. All right. Do me a favor. Again, we're going to start here in a couple minutes. So we have a few minutes just to kind of chit-chat for a while until we start the formal presentation at 4:30 Eastern time. I'm just wondering, what time is it by you? I'll start. It's 4:30, almost 4:30 Eastern time. I'm in Ohio, so it's Eastern time. I work for VectorVest, of course, and we have offices both in North Carolina, where my colleagues are that you're going to be communicating with in the chat, and Brian, who you'll hear from later for our Q&A. They're out in North Carolina. I'm in Ohio. It's been a heck of a week this week up here in Ohio. Frigid cold, and then tonight we have a winter storm warning. We're supposed to get like 8 inches of snow, so that's fun. But wish I was in Florida. That would be much nicer. Uh, Richard, you say 4:30. I see a lot of other 4:30s. Randy, 2:30 in Arizona. Tom, yep, awesome. 4:30. I see quite a few folks from Canada, but most of you guys are also Eastern time like me, so that's interesting. A lot of Eastern time frames. That's cool. Couple Pacific, I see. Tony's at 1:30, so that's out in California. All right. 4:30 in New England, Charles. 70 degrees in Lake Havasu and golf in the morning. So jealous. I actually live on a golf course, and there's nothing worse than knowing that I can't go out there and play golf because there's, 4 inches of snow on it. It's kind of a bummer. But oh well. I'll be in the Arizona. I'll probably be in Florida at some point too, as my in my golden years. Not so much my golden years, but not maybe when the kids are out of school. All right. And I'm just kind of curious, what do you do for a living? Are you retired? Do you still work? The reason I ask is, when I created this course about 8 years ago now, I created it for the retiree who was looking for a very low risk income strategy. Well, I've come to find out that, quite frankly, everybody is looking for a low risk income strategy, which makes sense. I'm 48 years old. Well, I'm 47. I'll be 48 in a couple months, but I'm 47, and this is the primary source of my trading income. So I just kind of wondering the avatar of you guys. Retired Richard, Charles still working, Gary or Jerry still retired. Awesome. I see still working, retiring next year. I like that. Retired. Okay, so it looks like most of you all are retired. One of these days I'm going to do a poll to make it easier because that way more people feel comfortable about retiring. Ken retiring soon. Bill retire or still working. Well, here's the beauty about this. What we're going to talk about tonight, this is something that scales very well. If you're still working, this is something you could do in 15 minutes a week to make some income. If you're retired and you want to put a little more time into it, it scales higher. You can do this a little bit more and do a little bit more income investing. It's a cool thing. It really does scale out very, very well. All right. Well, it is 4:30. So let's go ahead and start the formal presentation. So I want to welcome everybody to today's webinar. It is called How to Generate 3% per month with as little as one option trade per week. This is the breakthrough system I developed here at VectorVest that's going to help us generate income in any market. Now, the information I'm going to share with you has changed my life, and I've seen it change the lives of a lot of people. So I hope you're excited about it. In the webinar tonight, you're going to see how you can begin making a paycheck averaging 3% per more per month. Now, I want you to keep in mind, this is something you can do regardless of market direction. You can do it with little to no prior experience. even without option experience. You can do it safer than buying and selling stocks, and it's something that can be implemented quickly. Now, I know this might sound too good to be true, and you might be thinking, well, is this legit? You want some proof? Well, I would too if I were you. I see those annoying, overhyped advertisements of the guys standing next to their Lamborghinis or flying in their private jets, and they're on Instagram and TikTok promoting the latest crypto thing or NFTs and all that crud. I'm not like that. I like to let the results stand for themselves, and I let you decide. This is a copy of my 2023 results for using the strategies that I'm going to show you tonight. I trade a real money account with my clients. Each week we place live trades. So I actually have videos of me placing these trades for the last year. The paycheck system we use made over $37,000 in our $100,000 account. That's an average of 3.1% per month. And I want you also to notice my average winner is about 1,000 and my average loser is about 1,000. So I'm not taking big losses. Now, last year, I had, out of the 12 months, I had 8 winning months and I had 4 losing months, which is interesting because in 2022, I also had 8 winning months and 4 losing months. And I think I made last year a little bit more. In 2022, I think I made like 45,000 or 45%. So this is not something that's a one-time thing. This is something that I do, and I've been doing this for 8 years with my clients. I've been teaching this, again, technique since 2016. So here's one of my recent students. He sent me this email in December. He said, hey, Ron, just want to send a quick email to thank you and your team for the SPX Paycheck course back in September. I've been using the method and tracking my performance and thought you'd like to see the results. I entered my first 35 Delta trade on September 21st, 23, with only $5,000 in my margin account. Now, less than 3 months later, I'm already up 24.9%. Thanks again. I'll be teaching this method to my retiree in-laws and help them grow their income as well. Listen, I love to hear that. And that's also a lesson for you. You don't need to dedicate 100 grand to this. You can start small while you learn and practice because it does build up quickly. Now, for example, if you start with only 5,000 bucks and you average 3% per month, compounded over 15 years, that puts you at over $1 million. If you started with $25,000, you'd be near $1 million after 10 years. You're looking at some serious money. Now, clearly, if you have more than $5,000 or $25,000, you'd get there a lot faster, of course. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photo and their results with you, and we're going to talk about a few of them today. And these are real people just like you. So as I teach the system today and share their stories, I want you to pay close attention. You might find that you're actually in a similar position now as they were when they first started. So my name again is Ron Wheeler, and I'm the options trading manager here at VectorVest. I've been trading now for 27 years. And when I first started, my first couple of years, I had mostly losses. In fact, I actually blew out and lost a couple of my trading accounts first. And the reason I was losing was because I was trading in a way that required me to be right to make money. If I bought something, it had to go up. If I sold something, it had to go down. If I wasn't right, bottom line is I'd lose money. But a huge aha moment came to me when one of our clients, who was actually a hedge fund manager, came to our office to visit. And he showed me how the institutional, the hedge fund guys trade and make money. And a long story short, he showed me the inside secret to using options. So that way, even if I'm wrong on my analysis, I could still make money. He showed me how to use options in a way that controlled my risk. Basically, he showed me how to stack probability and control my risk. And think of the pressure that takes off you. You don't even have to be right to make money. Now, in today's webinar, I'm going to show you the exact system I use to generate these types of returns. I'm going to show you case studies and examples of our clients who are doing this. And I'm going to show you our system so that if you learn and follow our strategy, you could do the exact same thing. And if you stay with me to the end, I put together a nice little checklist to help you plan out your trade. It's a PDF that I'll put right in the handout section of GoToWebinar. Drop it right in there. You can click on it, print it out today. But do me a favor, just remind me when I get to the end, because after about an hour, I pretty much forget. Okay? All right. Why is this such an important topic? Because without an income system, it's on you. And that creates a number of problems for us. If you aren't retired, it keeps us stuck in a situation where we have to work in order to live. Whether you got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finances are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether we'll have enough or if we're going to run out of money, that can have a huge impact on your life, your health, even your relationships. If you're already retired, you might be watching your savings get depleted faster than you can fill it, especially with how prices have gone up so much. If things don't improve, you may fear you'll continue to have losses that draw down your account. You'll get behind on your goals, maybe even question your ability as an investor. You might even fear that you'll have to give up on investing and go back to work. Worst case scenario, you'll run out of money during retirement. However, with a system to help you generate income, things are a lot different. And I believe this is probably the most important point of the webinar. So pay close attention. Write down what I'm about to say. In order to be financially free, our main need is income. But to be financially free, you have to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So I'll say that again. In order to become financially free, all you need to do is learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Whether you're still working or retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Because when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life will change. If you're still working, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having a second job. If you're retired, you can have a consistent source of income as if you quit your job, but they kept paying you. It's like a tap you can turn on whenever you want. That's going to allow you to do the things you want to do now and when you retire. When you got a system to help you generate income, it can help you retire younger. So, as I said, I believe this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'm going to say it one more time. When the income from our investments exceeds our living expenses, we become financially free or have the ability to retire. For example, Brian's a client of ours who's a great example of how easy you could become proficient at drawing an income from the market, even if you don't want to invest a lot to begin with. Now, Brian said he had some health problems and he needed a way to supplement his income. By using the options paycheck system, he was able to generate $23,000 in profit, starting with just $6,000. He achieved 100% winning trades in 10 months. He had 31 of 31 winning trades using our most basic system. And the key point here is this: it's not beginner's luck. It was the result of following the system. It's the system that helped Brian get those 100% winning trades and create that $23,000 in profit, starting with only $6,000 in 10 months. But the first thing you need to know to take control of your returns, it's a bit of a strategic mindset shift. You're either going to continue being a gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Being an option seller is the way that you can make consistent income each month, and it allows you to win even if you're wrong. Now, the reason why you want to be the casino or the house is that number one, the house always wins. Number two, the house always wins because it controls and stacks probability in its favor. And the options paycheck system is built around you stacking the odds massively in your favor. So make a note of this. In order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to stack probability in your favor. So the obvious question is, well, how do we do it? The first step is that shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of that shift from gambling on stocks to being in the casino and controlling and stacking probability in his favor. Prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from his broker. Now, Bruce focused on our SPX income system, which is our most basic trading system, as he's not the most technical person in the world. But in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from $100 to $497,000 in 3.5 years. He said he's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the options paycheck system. And the whole system takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. This is an example of a typical trade you've been taught to make. You find a stock you like, you think it's going to go up, so you either buy shares of it or you buy a call. Now, why do you buy a call option? Well, mainly because when you started learning options, it's what you were taught to do, right? When the stock goes up, you buy a call. When the stock goes down, you buy a put. But what ends up happening a lot of times? Either the stock just doesn't go up, or it doesn't go up enough and the call you just bought ends up expiring worthless. Has that ever happened to you? Yes? Well, what's the problem causing you to lose? Most people feel that the problem is, well, maybe they just picked the wrong stock. Maybe they picked the right stock, but they still lost money. It's the wrong strike price or maybe the wrong expiration of the option. But let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not your fault. That's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option, but as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. This is how you put probability on your side. This is how you win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. As a buyer, a typical trade gives you a 50-50 chance to be a winner. Because when you buy, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. So instead of having a buyer's mentality, we are going to have a seller's mentality. Instead of hoping a stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability. Now, probability will tell you where the stock is not likely to go. So instead of just needing the stock to go in your direction, you can pick a price, kind of like what you see here with that yellow arrow that says, hey, as long as the stock stays above there, I can make money in this trade. So think about that. You can pick a price below the stock, and as long as the stock stays above it, you make money. If the stock goes up, you make money. If it goes sideways, you make money. Even if the stock comes down a little bit, you can still make money. So right from the very beginning, probability is in your favor. And you could even increase that probability even more. You can simply choose a lower price, which gives you a bigger area where you can be right. Now, we do a lot of our trades that start off with at least a 70% chance of success. And you can only do this as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor. And that's the definition of an income trade. An income trade is one where you can make money even if you are wrong on direction. Bruce, by the way, continues to trade with me every week. In fact, he posted on our private Facebook group and said, another day of trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC and a cold beer. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere. That's a great picture of being financially free. And just to make it even worse, Bruce on Tuesday this week, because Monday was a holiday, during my coaching class, I was complaining about how cold it was here in Ohio. So he posted another picture showing him sitting on the beach again, watching my class. I'm like, Bruce, you're killing me, man. But Bruce is a good guy. He's been with us for a while now. Now, Mike is another one of our clients who's someone who dabbled with options, but said he lost on each trade. Have you ever been there? Can you imagine how frustrating that must be to lose on each trade? Well, eventually he stopped. He gave it up. He went back to the books, tried to learn more about options, but he never felt comfortable. He knew what he was doing. He said he didn't have any set criteria. So Mike and I worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system being an option seller, and he said he became like an income machine. After he learned the system, he immediately went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades with a profit of over 12 grand in 4 months. Now, the key lesson here is this: going from buyer or gambler to the seller or the house turned his situation around. He was even so proud of his results, he sent me a spreadsheet of the trades over that time. And what you can see here is look at the profit columns and then look at the loss columns. A lot more profits than losses. That's typical. Now look at the work days to close. 7, 5, 4, 2, 7, 7, 10. He's pulling in about $1,000 every 7 days or so. That's the beauty of this thing. The average trade typically lasts about 7 to 11 days. And if you're like Mike and most of our students, you can start just trading the SPX, which is an index that tracks the S&P 500. That involves only one trade per week, and since 2016 has averaged over 4% per month. The odds are stacked in your favor on these trades. You're not looking for one big home run trade to become a millionaire overnight. You're growing your account steadily each year. And that's really the key takeaway. A home run looks really, really good, but singles are what wins the game. As they said in Moneyball, he gets on base. These singles are what will enable you to never run out of money and be able to do the things that you want to do. So you've seen by simply flipping from the buyer to the seller, you can stack odds significantly in your favor. Now we're going to stack the odds even further by understanding and capitalizing on the three most common buyers. And again, buyers equal gamblers, their mistakes. So the first mistake that a lot of option buyers choose is they choose unrealistic strike prices. They choose option strike prices that are so far away, the stock has no chance of hitting it. Here's what I mean. Here's a stock. Let's say someone was bullish on the stock. A mistake a lot of option buyers make is this. They buy calls with strike prices way up here. The stock's at 216. For them to make money, it's got to go to 230. Why would you buy these options if the stock has very little chance of hitting that price? Well, they do it because they're cheap. And many option buyers treat options like lottery tickets. Most of the time they lose. They're basically like the gamblers. Now, since there's always going to be those buyers out there who buy these options, you may as well be the one who sells it to them. You're selling an option that has a low probability of getting hit. And since it has a low probability of getting hit, that means you have a high probability of winning. And the same goes for puts. There are also people who buy puts way below the market. They buy them as lottery tickets, or maybe they're buying some cheap insurance for a stock that they already own. That's a great thing to do. It doesn't matter why, ultimately. There's always going to be buyers out there buying these options. Since there will always be those buyers out there, you may as well be the one who sells it to them. Because selling these options gives you a 60 to 90% of probability right from the very start of the trade. Now, the second mistake that buyers make is they choose expiration dates that are far too close to the current date. It's like when you go to the grocery store and see a piece of steak on the discount rack. Yeah, it's cheap, but if you don't cook it in the next 24 hours, it's probably going to go bad. And the same is true for options. Here you see what happens to the price of an option in relation to the days until expiration. Notice in the upper left, we're 180 days to expiration, and the option's gradually losing its value. Right about here, we're about 45 days to expiration. Now look at what happens. In the last 45 days, the value of the option starts declining exponentially. Now, why do buyers buy options with less than 45 days of expiration? So little time left. Well, they do it because options are cheaper. It's like buying a lottery ticket, but by doing this, you're stacking the probability against you. So instead of buying options in this window, we are going to sell options in that window. Now, to be more specific, I'm going to sell options that are 21 to 45 days away for the majority of my trades. That's the sweet spot right there, that 21 to 45 days. Now, here's another example. This is a graph of Home Depot. Most buyers, they'll go out there and buy an option maybe right here. That's about a month and a half away, right in that 21 to 45 day range. But watch what happens. Notice as you get closer and closer to that expiration, the value of the option is dropping quickly. This is bad for an option buyer. But remember, you're now going to be the option seller. That value dropping like that actually works in your favor. Because remember, there's always going to be people out there buying options that have an expiration date too close. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. Let them be the gambler. You be the casino. You will always win in the end. Now, the third mistake that buyers make is they simply pay too much. They buy what's called an overpriced option. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. Here's two stocks. I want you to look at the top here. Notice that both stocks are right around the same price, about 76 bucks. But even though the two stocks have the same price, look at the different price of the option. Both are the same strike with the same expiration. Over on the left, you're talking about a $9 option. Over on the right, it's $1.80. Why are they so different? Because the option on the left had very high volatility, leading to the option being overpriced. Now, buyers who buy these options are simply paying too much. Well, what's the big deal, right? You got 100 grand in your account, it's a $9 option, so what? Well, watch what happens when a buyer buys an option that is overpriced like the one on the left. Both stocks go up $8 a share from 76 to 84. That's a really good thing if you think the stock's going to go up, right? But let's see what happens to the value of the options. Even though both stocks rose, the overpriced option on the left actually lost money. You would have had a losing trade. You got direction right, but you lost money. Over on the right, you got like a 300% return. Think about that. The option buyer got direction right and still lost. Why? Because the person who bought options of the one on the left didn't pay attention to volatility, and they simply paid way too much. So instead of buying these overpriced options, we're going to search these bad boys out, and we are going to be the seller. Okay? Why? Because the more expensive an option is, the more probability we can get in our trade, and the lower amount of risk we have if the trade doesn't work. And I'll show you a little bit more about that when we get into some examples. As an option seller, you can be wrong on direction, stack probability, and reduce risk tremendously. Now, Bob is one of the most interesting stories I've seen. He said prior to working with us, Bob was making a bunch of the mistakes we talk about here, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he said he ended up either broke or bankrupt 3 times. In his own words, came close to living under a bridge. The options paycheck system helped Bob turn his situation around in as little as 4 months. He learned to turn these mistake liabilities into strategies to control and stack probability in his favor. In 4 months, he grew his account by 71% and achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. Remember, in order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to control and stack probability in your favor. Now, let me ask you, in the chat window, I want you to share with me, for those of you that have traded options, have you ever made any of these buyer's mistakes? Just do me a favor, type yes or no in the chat if you've traded options before. Have you ever made those mistakes? I'm going to take a second here and grab a sip of coffee. I've been nursing my cold brew all day. Got to finish it at some point. All right. Yes, yes. Tom, Gary, Jerry, yes, yes. I see lots of yeses. I see a no. Never traded options before. Well, guess what? Now you know some of the mistakes not to make, right? Listen, most everyone who's traded options before has made these mistakes. It's not too uncommon. But it's not your fault. You were simply taught a broken system. Now that you know you want to trade with and be an option seller, I want to look at how to trade with very little risk. Because when a lot of people hear the word options, and especially the term selling options, they think it's incredibly risky. However, the options paycheck system uses a low risk strategy for selling options. And this is why it's a core strategy we teach our retirees. Now, why is reducing risk so important? Because most people who don't use the options paycheck system, they're not preserving their capital. They have one bad trade come in and wipe out all the gains from a bunch of winners. Now, I've never had this happen to me. In 15 plus years of selling options, I've never had this happen. Here's the cool part about this. If you remember from my introduction at my huge aha moment, when I talked about how the hedge fund manager taught me how to control risk, one of the great things about these trades is that you know the risk up front. I would never take a trade. And you saw my average winning trade is $1,000. My average losing trade is $1,000. I would never take a trade that has a $1,000 profit and a $15,000 risk. What good is making $1,000 if one trade is going to come in and wipe out 15 winners? You know these numbers up front. Do not put yourself in a position like this. Because if you do, and it happens to you, and you suffer those large losses, it's very hard and takes a long time to recover. But when you do this right and you have the right system in place, you'll have built-in protection. You're going to take care of risk management before you even open the trade. And when you can confidently select the right stock, set your trades up in a way that reduces risk, it allows you to preserve and grow your capital. Like I said earlier, home runs look good, but singles are what win the games. Now, one of the most common questions we get is, can I trade an option from my IRA? And a client of ours, John, grew his IRA over 112% in 1 year using our paycheck system. John had tried and struggled with trading for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system, turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. He said in 12 months, he enjoyed 85% winning trades and more than double the size of his IRA while spending no more than 15 minutes per day on his trading. And I can tell you, most of us here actually trade in an IRA also. I trade in both a cash account and an IRA. So yes, these trades are doable in most IRAs. Now, the options paycheck system makes sure you reduce your risk before you even open the trade. First, we choose stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we start by focusing on good stocks that are already rising in price, very similar to the graph you see here. Now, this is important. Instead of selling an option naked, we're going to sell with protection. So let me show you how to do that, and I'll describe it a little bit here. A traditional option selling system leaves you with all of this risk, right? One winning trade, one losing trade wipes out all your winners. That's a traditional option selling system. What the options paycheck is going to do, it's going to shrink your risk to that. So let me show you how this works. This is a graph of a typical stock we'd be bullish on. And listen, it's a beautiful graph, and it's understandable to be bullish on a stock that looks like this. Now, traditionally, people would just simply go out and buy the stock here. Maybe they even buy a call using the current stock price as their strike price. Well, remember, you're not the buyer anymore. You're the seller. So what you're going to do is do this. When you think a stock will go up, you are going to sell a put below the stock price. Stock's trading for like 138, we're going to sell a 135 put. When you sell that put, you receive a premium. You're going to get paid. So, for example, we would get paid $200 for selling this option. If you traded, 10 contracts, you get paid $2,000. Great, right? That's awesome. But the problem is that leaves you with all this downside risk. Now, how does this work? If you've never sold an option before, let me explain how it's kind of like. The best example I can give you is like when you buy car insurance, right? Every 6 months, you pay a premium. You write a check to your insurance company, they cash it, take the premium. Now, they don't just get to keep the premium, right? For that premium, they have to provide you insurance or protection for your assets. If you wreck your car, they got to pay for it. Now, if in 6 months you don't use your policy and you have no claims, they keep all the premium, the option or the contract goes away, and rinse and repeat for the next 6 months. Well, here's how it's like that in an option. When you sell a put that you sold is a contract, and that contract comes with the obligation that you may have to buy the stock for 135. Now, if all of a sudden out of nowhere this stock drops down to $100 and you have the obligation to buy the stock at 135, you just had one trade wipe out a lot of winners. Unacceptable. So how do we limit that risk? Here's how we limit it. We're going to take in the same transaction going a little bit below, and we are going to buy a put as insurance. Now, that insurance policy does cost us a little bit of money. It's going to cost me $100. I received $200 for selling the 135 put. Now I'm buying the 130 for $100, and I'm going to get paid $100 to place this trade. Okay, $100. Now, here's what this does. Let's say the same incident happens. All of a sudden, this stock trading at 138 opens at $100. You may be forced to buy the stock for 135. But when you bought that put as insurance, that put gives you the right to sell it to somebody for 130. You've now limited your risk to $5. Now, here's a very important note. I've been doing this for 15 plus years. What I just described to you, I've never actually done. Never happened. It's never happened in 15 years. Well, Ron, if it's never happened in 15 years, then why do you buy the insurance? Because the insurance gives you a lot of protection. It helps you if the stock goes against you. It helps you in cases of high volatility. It reduces the amount of money you got to put in your trade. It makes it so even a newer option trader can do this. There's so many benefits of insurance other than just the risk protection. There's a lot. Okay? But this is how we're going to limit our risk. We get paid $100. Now, if we did this on 10 contracts, we would get paid $1,000. Now, ultimately, this is what the trade does. If the stock goes up, we make money. Why? Because the options in that transaction are losing their value. I sold them for $1,000. Now they're worth 900. Now they're worth 800. Now they're worth 7, 6, 5. The value is going down. If the stock goes sideways, those options are staying out of the money. They're losing their value. If the stock stays above 135, we can still make money. Now, this is the important part, right? Let's pretend that you bought the stock. You bought the stock for 138. When you bought the stock, you're like, listen, if this thing goes below 135, I'm going to stop myself out of the trade. I'm just going to go out there and sell my shares back at 135 bucks. That's a very common thing, right? Everybody does that. Stop. With an option trade, we do the same thing. If the stock goes down to 135, we simply exit our option trade and we take a small proportional loss, i.e., my average winner is 1,000, my average loser is 1,000. All right, let's set up a couple trades here. I want to show you some trades I did last year with my clients, just a couple of them to give you a feel of how this works. So pay attention. We're going to be talking about some numbers now. Now, when the overall market is bullish, I only do bullish trades. That's it. Now, quick tip. We're going to focus on selling and having at least a 60% probability in our trades. So, here's an example. PHM, this was in mid-June. Nice looking bullish stock. How could you not want to own that, right? Let's zoom in a little bit. It's trading at 76.05. Now, 99% of option brokers out there, you can go to an option, and if I look at the strike prices, it's going to give me a probability. So, you see that red line? That's the July expiration. I'm doing this in June. What that probability says is this stock is $76. There is a 56% probability that this stock will be above $75 when the option expires. B, there is a 73% probability staying above 73 at expiration. And C, down there at 70, there is a 91% probability that we're going to stay above 70 bucks. Now let me ask you a question. Without knowing any numbers, without knowing anything about options, without knowing about anything about 60%, if you looked at this, okay, and I said, hey, Jim, Jerry, Ed, anyone, do you want a trade that is 56% probable for you to win, 73%, or 91%? Which one would you pick? Be honest. Which one would you pick? Knowing nothing else, just looking at, oh my gosh, I could be 56% right, 73 or 91% right. Which one would you pick? Right, Richard, you were first. Jerry, you were second. 91%, exactly right. Why wouldn't you pick that? You'd be a fool not to. Well, this is where the asterisk comes in. However, the problem with being 91% right is that's the trade you make 1,000 on and you lose 15,000 on. So what good is making 9 out of 10 winners when the winners pay you 9 grand and the loser you drop 15? One trade blows out all your wins. It's too much probability. Probability is good, but there's a sweet spot. And that sweet spot is right around that 60 to 70% mark. I would like to get as much probability as I can, but it's not always going to work. I need to be in that 60 to 70% range because something very, very special happens there. The probability goes to your side, and this is the beauty of it, the risk reward becomes beneficial to you. So in this particular trade, I did 73%. Now, this trade is called a bull put spread. Why? Because number one, it's something you do when you're bullish. Number two, you do it on puts, and spread just means you're buying two options at different strike prices. Or you're trading two options at different strike prices, sorry. In this transaction, I'm selling a $73 put, and I'm buying a 70 as insurance. I'm doing this in one transaction. Now, in this particular trade, the stock went up. In 3 days, I was able to exit that trade and take my profits. Now, that's something that's important there. I know we talk about stocks and we talk about options expiring. We're not letting these trades expire. We're in this for a certain amount of profits, 50%. The stock went up. 3 days later, I hit my pre-assigned profit target. I'm out of the trade, done. Simple as that, 876 bucks. On to the next trade. Okay? Now, that's a very quick trade. They don't always happen that fast. But when the market is bearish now, we only do bearish trades. So I'm only trading in one direction. When the market's up, I'm going bullish and trading nothing but bullish trades. When the market's down, I trade bearish, nothing but bearish trades. Let market direction help you here. This is Target. This was actually a trade a little bit before that, back in late May. Target's been in an extended downtrend. It broke below a big low back there at 140. I zoom in and I see Target's at 130.93. It's basically at 131 bucks. Now, when I look at my options in my broker, and again, 99% of option brokers have this information. You can look at the strike, look at the expiration, and it will tell you what the odds are. It is an 85% chance of staying below 145 by expiration. It's a 76% chance of staying below 140 at expiration, and a 64% chance of staying below 135 by expiration. Now, we target anything that has greater than 60% probability. In this trade, which option would you pick? A, B, or C? All right. All right. Here's the thing. And a good comment there. A lot of you guys are picking C. That's a good option to sell. I agree. But here's another asterisk for you. For those of you that said C, you're absolutely right. But there is a little caveat here. Remember when I showed you that whole overpriced thing? I was actually able to go B on this one too. Now you might say, Ron, well, why was it B? Why did you go 76 and not 64 like you said? Because when options are extremely overpriced, it can sometimes allow me to get a lot more probability. So those of you that said 64%, you're absolutely right. But you could actually go as high as 76% in target because the premiums were so juicy at that point. 85% still too far out. Can't go that far, but 76% made this trade work. Now, remember, this is a bearish trade. So I'm going to do a trade called a bear call spread. I'm going to sell a $140 call, and I'm going to simultaneously buy a 145 call. Okay? A bear call spread. Those two trades, the bull put and the bear call spread, those were the only two trades involved in that 37% return last year. That's it. Two trades. Bull puts and bear calls. Nothing else. You don't have to do all these kind of exotic option strategies to make money. It's not that hard. Now, in this case, this is a little bit more normal. $765 in 7 trading days. Basically, it took about 10 days to get this profit, if you think of calendar days. But I want you to look at something here. Look at the stock. It really didn't go down very far, honestly. It basically just went sideways. It went from like 130 to like 127. Didn't even go very far. But that was enough to get me to my profit target in only 7 trading days. Now, another client I worked with is Jim. He said prior to working with me, his results were very inconsistent and he felt unsatisfied. He kept thinking there had to be something else out there that was better. You ever felt that way? That there was something more out there? Jim said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing and that would provide a more regular income, but it also had a high probability of success. Now, after learning the system of being an option seller, he told me he had 21 winners in a row and returned 76% in about 8 months. His average trade, 8 days. Can you imagine how that must feel to be going from inconsistent to where all of your trades are generating income? Now, that was Jim. What about you? What would an income system like this allow you to do? Again, look at those results from 2023, 37%, averaging 3% per month. What would you be able to do with a system like that? Mike, you were first. Mike said retire sooner. He was one of the guys in the beginning that said he's retiring next year. Retire sooner. Travel more. Play more golf. I'm jealous of that one. Come on now. Don't give me golf. Easier. Sleep better at night. I like it. Hey, think of what 3% per month can do for you. And we said before that buying is gambling. Selling is about controlling risk and putting the odds of success in your favor to generate income. The options paycheck system makes sure you have a guaranteed maximum risk. And remember, it all goes back to whether you'd rather be the gambler or the casino. Because keep in mind, the house always wins in the end. Being an option seller is the way that you can make consistent income each month. This is what allows you to do it more safely with a higher probability of success than just simply buying and selling stocks alone. Now, I want to put this together. I want to show you how you can have a bulletproof system, which you can do in as little as 15 minutes a day. Now, my students who've implemented this have told me that this is the most important thing they learn. Why? Because one of the biggest things people ask me is, well, how much time is this going to take me? And it's a great question. Well, here's the challenge. There's thousands of stocks out there. You got to find out how to pick the right stock, apply the right strategy. When do you get in? What expiration? What price? What do you do if it goes against you? When do you get out? And when you start thinking about that stuff, you think, oh my gosh, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, right? There's so much information out there, you don't know where to look. You spend hours researching your trades, or just going from guru to guru and services, right? You end up like a mouse running through a maze, trading blindly without a system. You don't know where to go. It's stressful. It's disheartening. But with the right system, you can identify good trades and get reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. But to get that, you need a system, and not just any system. You need a straight line system, a simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find them, how to set them up, and how to manage them. So let me walk you through the pieces of the options paycheck system, the order they go in. No one else teaches option selling this way. I know it's a silly term, but this is like the secret sauce, if you will. There are 6 pieces. The top 5 build on each other, and then that 6 kind of ties them all together. At the top of the system is market direction. And a lot of traders ignore this. They just go out and start placing bullish, bearish all over the place. You're going to be placing trades that are either bullish or bearish based on the current market's direction. By doing this, you're narrowing your focus. So instead of looking at bullish and bearish all the time, uptrends we're looking at bullish, downtrends we're only looking at bearish. Our paycheck system has a timing signal built in that we use to tell us the market direction. Now, once you know the direction of the market, you want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. So just trading the stocks you know, listening to CNBC, IBD, it's not the best choice. What you want to do is find good stocks already in uptrends when the market's rising, Pulte, bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market's falling, like Target was. And our paycheck system saves time in a lot of ways. We look at 2 main things, fundamentals and price trend. We have pre-built searches built in our VectorVest platform, which we use. That way, you don't have to dig through all that data the institutions throw at you. Once you have your list of stocks, you want a way to select the best ones for options trading. Remember, we looked earlier at how big of an effect volatility had on an options price. Our options paycheck system focuses on selling options with volatility in the upper end of the range, but we don't stop there. To take even more risk out of the trade, we filter out those with upcoming earnings events. And we make sure that expiration is in that sweet spot of 21 to 45 days. Okay? Now listen, you can use tools from a broker to help. We happen to have a proprietary search tool which finds these things in seconds. Now you got to set up your trade. We're going to pick the trade that has the highest probability of success based on the strike price that we select. However, we also have to manage that risk and reward. Some trades I can do 60%, some trades I can do 70%. I got to make sure it's a trade where I'm not going to make 1,000 and lose 10. Got to manage that. Now, before you place the trade, you need to know what to do if the trade goes for you or against you. I don't want you sitting in a trade feeling frozen like a deer in the headlights because you don't know what to do. Our options paycheck system has rules to take profits at predetermined levels. These can even be set up in advance with your broker. And if a trade goes against you, we have a simple adjustment strategy that you can use, which will help you minimize your losses. We also know exactly when to exit a trade. And I can even set that up with some of my brokers in advance. That way, when the exits happen, they're very automatic and very unemotional for me. Now, lastly, you want a way to do this quickly. You don't want to be spending all day in the process. So you need a tool that allows you to do things. It should be something you're comfortable using. Some brokers have really great tools. Interactive Brokers has good tools. Thinkorswim has good tools. I use Fidelity also. They have good tools. You might find some paid tools to be very effective. For example, I use a proprietary tool from VectorVest called Options Pro. It saves me a ton of time finding these trades. And speaking of time and efficiency, earlier we talked about Mike and Jim. They said they're getting the results in 15 minutes a day, and so is Hugh. He told me that one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that was efficient and worked. He said he didn't have that proper balance between trading and free time. He didn't have that good work-life balance that we all want. Are you like that too? Do you spend too much time doing things you don't want to do and not enough time doing the things you want to? Now that Hugh learned the options paycheck system of selling options, he said he has more confidence, more free time, and is able to have more fun. In his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners and returned over $26,000 in 4 months. So I want to do an exercise with you. I want you to take your pen. I want you to take a look at the 6-step process. And I want you to put a little star next to the part of the system where you're maybe already good. So for example, if you have a quick way to find a list of stocks that are going in the direction of the market, put a little star there. You're probably good at market direction and stock finder. But if something's not working with you or you need a little work, put a little frowny face there. So example, you don't know how to manage or repair an options trade, put a frown there. You've never traded options before, put a frown from options selection down. Don't overthink it. I'm going to give you about 15 seconds to give yourself a star or a frown. Now, I'm willing to bet maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. So let me ask you a question. In the chat window, I want you to share some of these with me. What areas do you specifically need to work on? Ed says all of them. Never done this before. He was first. Nice job. Oops, my box went away here. There we go. All of them. I agree, Charles says. Michael says option selection down. Garth says never done this before. Okay? Now listen, it doesn't matter where you are in that process. It doesn't really matter. Willis says the trade setup. Tom says the last 5. Listen, it doesn't matter. We need to get it to where you have stars all the way down because once you do, you will be able to generate income every month and do it in less than 15 minutes. So listen, I can't know your exact reasons for coming to today's webinar, but I'm going to make a few educated guesses. Maybe you haven't really known what to do and you feel like you've been trading blindly. You're bumping into one wall into the next. It leaves you with inconsistent results. You make some money, but then you give it all back on your next trade. Kind of like what Jim did before he learned the options paycheck system. Maybe you've been suffering through loss after loss. No small losses are killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. Maybe you're just not where you want to be. Now, today, I showed you the secret to fixing all that. It's a secret I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know, and now you're one of them. You saw it's possible to win even if you're wrong. You can do it with very little risk. It's even less risk than buying and selling stocks. You saw the system to get consistent income every month. And I showed you just a few of the many people who use this system every day so they never have to worry about retirement again. You saw over and over the secret to generating consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to being the casino. Now remember, you're going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows that secret. That means there's 99 other investors who will continue to do things wrong. They'll be buying options, making all the mistakes we talked about. Can't stop them from doing it. There's always going to be those investors out there who will buy options incorrectly. Listen, let them be the gamblers. Because as long as there's gamblers out there, you may as well be the casino. Remember that old saying, the house always wins? The options paycheck system teaches you how to stack the probability of success in your favor. Just like it taught Brian and Bruce and Bob, Jim, Hugh, and John. Now, if you're like most people, you're probably wondering, how can I implement this paycheck system in my portfolio? Well, you have a choice. Option number one is you can do nothing. Stay where you are. If you already have enough money to retire, you're not really worried about running out of money, then maybe you don't even need the options paycheck system, and that's a great place to be. However, if you would like to make some extra income every month, that kind of leaves you with two other options. Option two is you can do it alone. Try to learn how your option trades work, figure out the direction of the market, learn to analyze the stocks, find the best ones to trade, hope you pick the right one, manage it right. Listen, if you're willing to work hard, spend hours in front of your computer, you're willing to learn by trial and error, you may be able to pull it off. But why? Option three is let us guide you through it. I'll walk you through each piece of the options paycheck system. And in just a few weeks, you'll have that simple system to follow, and it doesn't take a lot of time. You know, there's two types of people. Person number one is someone who dreams about their financial goals, but they never take action or do anything to make it happen. Person number two is serious about your financial future. You're ready to take action when you see a good opportunity in front of you. And listen, since you're dedicated to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number two, and that makes you the perfect candidate to get started on your first options paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together for you. The Options Paycheck Experience is the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using option spreads, even if you've never traded an option before. The Options Paycheck Experience is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches the secret to generating consistent income. It shows you exactly how to find, set up, and manage option spreads to generate income, and how you're going to do it safely and consistently in any type of market condition, so you never have that fear of running out of money. After going through the experience, you will know exactly how calls and puts work, along with all the fancy terms, so you no longer have the fear of options anymore. You're going to have clear signals telling you whether to place a bullish or a bearish trade, and when not to place any trades. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that make the best candidates for your option trades using a rules-based approach, and that frees up a lot of time in your life. You're going to set up income trades that give you a base 70% or better success rate. And again, even if you've never traded options, you're going to have a trade management game plan in place prior to placing the trade. That way you know how to handle any situation the market throws at you. You're going to be able to confidently enter and exit trades with your broker like a pro, whether you've done it before or you've never touched an option before. We're going to show you how to implement a system to safely and consistently generate income. That way you can begin to live that lifestyle you want without that fear of running out of money. Now, the course is 8 modules, and we made them so each module builds on the one prior. So as you go through the modules, you're getting closer and closer to that end goal, which is that system for consistent income. Now, the first 2 modules are what we call the Option Income Foundation. A lot of people try to build a successful income portfolio, but they base the portfolio on a weak foundation of knowledge. And listen, we totally understand what it's like to learn options for the first time. We've been there. That's why it pays to learn from a team who's gone through this before. The outcome you're going to get from Module 1 is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work, so you can confidently use them in your trades. You'll know which terms to pay attention to and which to ignore. That way you're not wasting time or getting frustrated. Module 2, you're going to learn what a spread is, the bull put and the bear call, and how they actually work. You're going to be filled with confidence to start building these income systems around those trades. Now that you've got that solid foundation of options, it's time to lay out the step-by-step system to placing income trades. This is going to help you generate those options paychecks. Each step along the way stacks probability in your favor and reduces risks. And it all starts with knowing when to trade. Here, you get complete clarity on market trends. So instead of looking at all possible trades, we're going to narrow our focus. You're going to know whether you should be placing bullish trades, bearish trades, or not trading yet. Now, after you know the direction of the market, you're going to want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. Now, this is going to stack probability even more in your favor. The outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade that give you the highest probability. Now that you got your list of stocks, we're going to start narrowing it down to the best options candidates. These are going to give you the highest probability for profits. And by using the rules in this module, you're going to make sure you're getting paid as much as you can for the trade and making it so you can make money even if the stock doesn't go anywhere. In Module 6, we're going to continue to stack probability and reduce risk by the way that we set up our trade. Here, you're going to make sure that trade has the perfect combination of risk reward, and you're going to know exactly where to set your strikes. Great trades don't happen by accident. They happen because of careful planning and strategically setting them up correctly right from the very beginning. Now that you got your high probability trade picked out and you're ready to go, in Module 7, you're going to learn how to have your plan in place so you know when to exit the trade, not only to take profits, but to minimize losses. You're never going to be frozen like a deer in the headlights ever again. No matter what the market throws at you, you'll know how to react, which allows you to trade completely stress-free. And now that you found the best stock, you set up your low risk, high probability option trade, mapped out your management game plan, now it's time to place the trade. This module is going to break down the trade execution phase into simple, repeatable steps. You're going to commit these to muscle memory in no time. Now, we put everything you need into a checklist. That way you never miss a step. And when someone's first starting out, it's always comforting to have that security blanket in place. That way you know you're doing everything right. And placing trades with your broker can sometimes be very intimidating. So in addition to video walkthroughs of several popular brokers, we also put together click-by-click directions for the most popular broker out there, Thinkorswim. Now, before we talk about the low price of the course, I want to make this even more low risk for you. We offer a 100% money-back guarantee on the course. You can go through the entire course, and if you're not satisfied that we taught you how to profit using options, just notify us within a week of finishing the course. You get all your money back. It's completely no risk. Okay? I've been doing this since 2016 with VectorVest, and I got to tell you, I'm fine with putting my money where my mouth is. Take the course, see what it's like, and if you don't think it's going to be good for you, you have an out. You have a risk-free trade. The only caveat is this. We ask that you give it your best effort. That means come to the live classes or simply watch the recordings. Either way, do the assignments, because we know if you do, you are going to see the results. If you don't do the work, you won't be eligible for a refund. And the reason why I have such a tight refund policy is because I only want to attract people who are excited to jump in, do the work, and get the results. So when I put that on there, I attract those serious investors, which is why I say, hey, you got to at least do the course, right? It's only fair. But when you do the system, you're going to be learning a system that averages 3% per month. That's 36% per year on average. And remember, it doesn't take a lot of time to do it every week. I received this email from a client who took the course. Ron, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the Options Paycheck course. I took your class last fall and wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade, and so far I've profited on 239 trades out of the 350 I've taken, a 68% winning rate. I've profited over 100,000 in this time. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown in regards to taking really good risk-reward trades, I've profited over 50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 78% over my last 100 trades, and I only take trades with a 2 to 1 or better risk reward. I want to thank you again for teaching this very simple but effective system. Now, I want to note a couple things here. In 10 months, Joe took 350 trades. In a year, I take like 130. Okay? Joe trades a lot more than I do. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the beauty of it. You can have a system that trades 50 trades a year. Tailor it to your needs. If you're retired and want to be more active, do what Joe does. That's the cool part. Now listen, look at his numbers. If I told Joe I'd give him 100 grand in exchange for the $2,000, do you think he'd take that? Would you take a trade like that? I'll give you 100, you give me 2. Listen, I'm going to make you a better offer than that, as you're going to see here in a few minutes. But before I tell you more about it, I want to point something out. I want you to understand this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something where you should expect to become a millionaire in the next 24 hours. This is serious and requires some effort on your part. So if you're not going to commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. This is for serious people who take their investing seriously and are willing to put time in to learn the system. So if you're serious about this, you're ready to jump in and do the work and get the results, then the Options Paycheck experience is perfect for you. Step-by-step training to go from option basics to a full, complete income generating system. Just these training modules alone are worth the price of the course, but I put together some good bonuses for you as well. The first bonus is what we call the Mastery Package. The Mastery Package includes module by module mastery sessions. Each week, we'll have 2 mastery sessions, one dedicated to each module to help you master the course material. Plus on Friday, I'll have an additional live Q&A. That means you'll have 3 live sessions each week, giving you plenty of opportunities to ask questions and get help. You don't have to attend all of them, but we have 3 of them out there for you to hit different times. Now, we also include a private dedicated email. It comes right to me and our Options Paycheck team. If you don't already have it, I'm going to give you access during the live portion to both VectorVest and the Options Pro software. These are the tools that I use. You can test them out, see how you like them. You don't have to use them if you don't want to, but we're going to give them to you to try out. With the Mastery Package bonus, you're going to have the tools and the support you need to master these techniques taught in the course. So you're ready to place your first income trade in the shortest time possible. Now, a lot of people say, Ron, I wish you could be there for me in my first couple of trades. Your wish has been granted. The second bonus is what we call the implementation month. You're going to get access to my live trading sessions. During these sessions, you're going to watch me find, select, set up, and place trades in real time. Plus, I'll show you how I manage my existing trades each week. This is such a huge bonus. You're going to see the paycheck system in action. You can even follow along with me in your own trading account if you want to. I'm also going to hold live office hours twice a week. We're going to walk through the system step by step in real time. Our past students said this was one of their favorite parts of the course because watching that repetition really helps cement the concepts and the process for them. Now, if you're worried that all this might be too much, I'm also including another bonus. It's called the SPX Paycheck System. This is where I take the entire process and concept of the Options Paycheck experience and boil it to one trade that you can do in as little as 15 minutes a week. One trade type, one ticker symbol, one setup rule, one profit rule, one stop criteria. It's a simple and easy trade to take. My teammate Brian taught this to his 14-year-old daughter at the time, and she was able to do the trades. For a lot of my students, this is the only system that they use. So as a recap, with today's offer, you're going to get the complete Options Paycheck training program, which includes 8 training modules, videos, checklists, cheat sheets, quizzes, slides, everything you need. The bonus mastery package, the implementation month bonus, and the SPX Paycheck system. Add it all up, total value of $5,500. But here's the opportunity in front of you. I'm going to roll up my sleeves and work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. And if you choose to be one of them, together we're going to create an income system in your portfolio, even if you've never had success with options. We're going to do this. So if you want to join me and have me take you by the hand and help you install an option income system in your portfolio, then instead of that $5,000, the early bird price for the course is only $1,295. Now, because you've spent about an hour with me and I value your time, I'm going to make it even better. Here's what I want to do just for you on the live session. If you order before the end of the webinar today, instead of paying $1,295, you can get it for $995. This means you will get the full course, 1 year of access to the course, the mastery package, the implementation month, all for $995. Now that $995 price will only be for those who register before we finish the live class today. Once we finish, right back up to $1,295. All you got to do to take advantage of it, go to www.optionspaycheck.com, click the register button. It's as simple as that. And listen, I know $995 is cost. It's going to cost you something for this. But ask yourself, how much money are you going to lose out by trying to learn by trial and error? How much potential profit are you going to miss out on? How much time and energy are you going to spend trying to do this on your own? And then ask yourself, how would things be different if you did it and it actually worked? There's a saying that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you can be sitting under it now enjoying the shade. Do you know when the second best time is? It's today. It's not too late to begin to prepare yourself for retirement and learn to generate income. This is one of those deciding days in your life. Is it going to be the day you decide to take action and set yourself up for secure retirement? Or is it going to be the day you look back where you squandered an amazing opportunity to create that income stream?
I hope you don't regret the decision you make right now. Don't miss this opportunity. I look forward to working with you in our next class. So again, all you got to do is go to www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. That $9.95 price is only available while we're live on the webinar. So if you've never taken the Options Paycheck course before and you want the lowest price, now is the time to get it. www.optionspaycheck.com, because once we're done here tonight, the price goes back up to $12.95. Don't wait. I don't want you to miss out on this. Now, before we go into the Q&A, I want to cover just a couple more things. As I said, this is a live class. When are the live sessions? What happens if you miss a live session? Well, let's talk about it. The class starts Tuesday, January 30th. That's our live welcome session. You can see the first week, I guess I should say the last week and the first week of February. This is when we do our mastery sessions and our Q&A. So this is your schedule for February. The mastery sessions are at 4:30. My open Q&A on Friday is at noon. Now, don't look at this and say, oh my gosh, I got to attend all these classes a week. We do all these classes during the week because we want to make sure that you have the opportunity, if your schedule is a little bit different, to maybe at least attend one. If you can't attend the live sessions, it's not a big deal. All of these are recorded. Now, if you sign up for the Options Paycheck course right now, you're going to get access to all of the classes, all of the modules. By January 31st, I would like you to learn Module 1. Watch the videos for Module 1. On Wednesday the 31st, we're going to come and talk about it. We'll overdo the reviews. We'll answer any questions you have in Module 1. And then on Thursday, we do Module 2. The open Q&A on Friday is just your chance to ask me any questions about the first two modules. And you can see that February is dedicated to teaching you the system. That way, in March, you are ready to implement. And if you're not ready to implement by March, it's okay. Take your time. This is a system that you're going to learn that's going to last you a lifetime. If you're not ready in March, it's okay. Just watch me do it. You'll get some good repetition. I do live trading on Mondays at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. On Wednesday, I run an office hour session at 4:30, which, by the way, that's a great class if you're still working full time, because that Wednesday class, I'm going to show you how to find trades at night and put orders in for the next day to trade. And then Friday, I do them again at noon. So you're going to have, 4 sessions a week where we're really going to hit the repetition of how to do this system. Now, here's a quick comment from Greg, who took our course. He said, prior to the course, I struggled with knowing how to protect myself. When the market was moving away from me, I feared if I didn't fix it, I'd lose more of my portfolio than I could afford to lose. After taking the Options Paycheck, I feel better prepared to trade and much more confident. In the first month, I made a net of $10,200 for my options income trading with 9 winners and 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend this course. It was well done, very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity that I'm thankful I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You will make more in the first month than you paid for the course. I was one of those fence sitters who didn't take this course for a long time when I saw it offered. I lost a lot by not taking the program sooner. I'm very grateful and appreciative of the work that was put in to making this training program available. Now, for those of you that are new, how much options experience do you actually need? Well, we've polled all of our prior attendees, and 85% of them said you could be successful with little to no prior options experience. You may have to watch Module 1 maybe an extra time. You may have to ask us questions. It's fine. That's what we're here for. We are committed to your success, even if you've never traded options. Just a couple more comments from some clients of ours. Cheryl said, I've surpassed my expectations. I don't need the money back guarantee. I tripled my investment. Frank, I've already have a profit of $7,300 before the course. It was a crapshoot. Now I believe in the options trades I'm doing. Cam says, I've made back the initial investment so many times over. It's a small part of my portfolio, but it's probably the most profitable. Jake, I finally found a method of making consistent winning trades with a high probability of success. And some of our more recent students, they've also left us comments. Neville says, thanks for a wonderful course where within a short time you've opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, and your desire to teach comes through easily. You put a lot of thought into the training manual, already paid for the tuition with a few 35 Delta SPX trades. David says, the Options Paycheck experience is by far the best course I've ever attended in all my years with VectorVest since '99. You've limited my fear of trading options. The manner in which you presented the material is truly outstanding. And then Ben, the attention I received for all my email questions was above and beyond what I expected. A lot of my questions were demonstrated in class, and that made my learning much easier. So, now's the opportunity. Get out there, get yourself signed up, go to optionspaycheck.com, $9.95. Don't miss this opportunity. And do me a favor, if you're signing up, give me a quick shout out in the chat box and say, hey, Ron, I'm in. Now, speaking of shouting out, I'm going to bring my colleague in, Brian. Brian's been in the background, and we are going to do a Q&A together, and he's going to talk about some things kind of in the getting ready for the class as well.
All right. Hey, Ron.
Hey.
Man, you're really upping your game with your transitions to man.
You know, as I was thinking, I'm like, he gave me a comment last night about my transition. I gotta come up with something now.
It was good. Keeping me on my toes. So great to have everybody here. Excellent session. There's a lot of activity in the chat, and let's get right to the questions. I mean, we got those of you who are saying I'm in. You're making a fantastic decision. I mean, this course wouldn't be able to be around for 8 years unless people were getting results. And when you go to the optionspaycheck.com, there's a way that you can read tons and tons of testimonials about this course. So you are definitely in the right spot. And check your email, because there's going to be a welcome email that you should get. So everybody who's joining right now, as you join, give it about 30 seconds or so. You should get an email. Check your junk or your spam folder if it's not in your inbox. That email will have all the details of the course. As Ron said, you can use the directions to access the course and start going through the material. So we recommend that you do that. You could even use some time this weekend to go through the bonus module and maybe even be ready to place a trade next week before the course even officially begins with the live sessions. Okay, so check that out. That email should be in your inbox now. The other thing that I'm seeing in the chat from Chris, and there was another gentleman, I think it was Calvin, they had taken the course before. So sometimes, since we've been doing the course for 8 years, we've got people who've taken the course before, and they're just looking to get a refresher and go through the course again. Maybe they took it 3 or 4 years ago. So first off, we actually, if you took it 3 or 4 years ago, we updated the course since then. We do have a refresher rate available. So let us know in the chat if you feel you qualify for the refresher rate. You had to have taken this specific course before. And John in the background will look up your account and give you a special link to order the refresher rate. Or you could just call our office anytime and say, hey, I took the course before. Do I qualify, or can I get the refresher rate? And the person on the phone would be glad to help you out. Okay, so it's like half this price, it's like $4.95 or so. All right, and just a quick reminder, the $9.95 will go away right after we're done. Usually it's about 15 minutes or so after we're done. And the $12.95 rate will go away when registration closes, which is January 30th, which I believe Ron mentioned a moment ago. All right, speaking of that, Ron, speaking of Ron, let's get to questions for Ron. And so first off, Ron, you actually answered this question, I believe, but I saw it come up in the chat. So I want to make sure that it's clear. So those live sessions that you showed, if somebody misses one, is there a way that they can see it?
Absolutely. So we record all of our live sessions. That way, you have the opportunity. You could email me questions and say, hey, Ron, I can't be there tonight, but can you answer this question? Yeah, I answer the question in the chat or in the session. I record it. Those recordings are usually available within usually a couple hours of the end of the live session. You do not have to attend any live sessions for this if you don't want to. Everything is out there in pre-recorded content, and all of the live stuff that we do is recorded and it will be made available to you. So live or not, you're still going to get a lot of, you're still going to make this course work. We designed it that way.
Okay, and now they don't have to attend every single live session to be successful, right?
Not at all. We put a lot of live sessions out there for one main reason. We just hope that with all those live sessions, you'll be able to make 1 or 2 a week. If not, again, it's not a big deal, but we want to make sure that we have a lot of coverage out there. That way it increases your probability, no pun intended, of being able to attend a live session.
All right, next up is the $9.95. This wasn't a direct question in the chat, but I figured we'd address it now, which is something we see in our post-course surveys from people, which is we ask a question saying, were you hesitant about anything before signing up for this course? And the biggest hesitation is the price. Obviously, $995 is not a Happy Meal or a meal at McDonald's. Even though the prices of those are going up, it's not $995. So the biggest hesitation is price. So Ron, I thought maybe you could address that and just kind of hit it head on. If somebody is hesitant about paying $995 about an online course about options, what would you tell them about this course and why you think it would be a good investment?
Here's what it comes down to. I'm just going to be completely blunt. Is it a lot of money? Yes, it is. In comparison, by the way, of feeding a family of 5 at McDonald's, which I do once a month or so, it's about $65 right now to feed a family of 5. But anyway, I digress. Here's the bottom line. I'm confident. I know I'm asking for $995. However, we have a refund policy. Take the course, experience it. I am convinced that this course will change how you invest in your income. If you don't agree with me at the end, you have the option to get your money back. That's the bottom line. This is truly a no-risk trade. Let me put my money where my mouth is, and let me convince you over the next 2 months. It's as easy as that.
All right, cool. So there's a couple, I saw a gentleman who's on our YouTube stream, since you're streaming it there, asking about our phone number. And I think I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone here, not to be gruesome, but why don't we head over to optionspaycheck.com. And on this page, it will show a few different things. Number 1, there's a countdown timer. It'll show you how much longer this $9.95 will be available. When you're on this page, if you click on register today, it'll bring you down to a section which will show the discounted price. And if you click on the buy now and save button, it'll bring you to an order form page where there's a phone number. So if you do have questions of our team, I see there's some people who have the all access pass with VectorVest. John, if you mention that in the chat, John will give you a special email address, or you could just call that phone number that's there and somebody could take care of it for you. Or you could just call that phone number if you have questions about anything, right? So if you'd rather just talk to a human, that phone number is available to you. On the order page there where it says create account, most of you on today's webinar are VectorVest members right now. So you have a username and a password already. If so, all you have to do is click on the sign in button and enter your username and password. That'll allow you to put this course on your existing account. That's what you should do. The only people who should fill in first name, last name, email, and password would be if you are brand new to VectorVest and you do not already have a username and password with us. Okay. And then you continue on with the order form, and then within minutes, you would have access to the course. All right. And then a little while later, Ron will show you what it looks like inside of the course. So we'll get to that. There's only a couple other questions left, and then Ron will head over to do that. Okay. So Ron, there's a question I see from Richard. It looks like he's from Canada, asking about the RRSP. Is this something that can be done in retirement accounts? And I guess you'd probably have to split that up between US and maybe in Canada as well. So maybe you could address Richard's question.
Right. So here in the US, we have IRAs, and most IRAs, yes, you can do this, and it's called a limited margin IRA. I know I have one with Fidelity. A couple of the guys here have them with Fidelity as well. Some of them have them with Thinkorswim or Schwab. But here in the States, yes, you can do it in an IRA. Now in Canada, they have that RRSP. You cannot do these types of spread in your RRSP. You have to have a different type of account, just a regular cash account.
All right, cool. All right, so next up is the question about, like, how does somebody get help during the class? And I believe probably the biggest way to get help is through those live sessions that you showed. But is there another way that if somebody is like, man, am I going to be all alone during this? How could somebody get help during class?
Yeah, the direct access to us is through email. I would tell you to send us an email at our private email address that goes right to the Options Paycheck folks. That way you're not calling support and staying on the phone and waiting. Just send us an email. I can usually answer, myself, John, Ian, who answers email. We can usually answer it pretty much right away. Or if we need to help you a little bit more, we can reach out to you and talk to you too. But email is always the easiest. Just send us an email. Like I said, it goes right to me. It goes to like 3 different people. We look at these all the time. So it's really the quickest way of reaching out to us other than the live sessions.
All right. And I'm going to ask Ron to just give a quick tour of the course inside of our university so you can actually see what it looks like. And while he's doing that, if I missed your question, can you just copy and paste it into the chat? And that way I can make sure we get it addressed while we're here live. So Ron, I'll pass it over to you.
Sure. So as soon as you sign up for the course, you're going to get access to what's called our university site. And in the left-hand side up here, this is all of the content. Now, what I would tell you the first thing to do is under the Options Paycheck Experience Welcome section, go to the course curriculum checklist and open that up. This is a 6-page document that you can print out, and basically it just gives you a quick summary of the course. And then down here, it has a checklist to complete all of the modules. Little space over there to the right where you can, ask questions or write things down that you need to know. And it goes through all 8 modules. Now, the best part about this is when you get to the end, it also has a schedule of all of our live events. So you can see that Tuesday, January 3rd to 4th, it's our welcome session, our mastery sessions, and that takes you all the way through the end of March. Okay, so print that out first, very important. Now, all of the modules 1 through 8 are arranged in this way. You have your recorded lessons broken down into different lessons. You have a review and an action items. Now, every module has an action item. We want you to start doing this right away. Go to your broker, use Options Pro, whatever you're going to do your options in. We want you to go out there and find the information that you need. We have a section for review, which is like a little quiz that you can take. There's, they average between like 8 and 20 questions for each module. For the action item, we have a walkthrough video that you can click on and watch the video. We have FAQ. So if you have a question about the module, always go to your FAQs. There are questions there that might have already been asked and that are very popular. And then finally, we've got the mastery session recording section. So if I open that up right now, here's what you're going to see. You're going to see a video there dated November 1st. Why? Because that's the last live mastery session I did back in November, a few months ago. Now, after we get done with the live mastery session on January 31st, that's going to go away and it will be updated with the one from your class. So we give you the option of going back and looking at our prior live sessions if you want to, but then those get updated within a couple hours at the end of our sessions. So that takes you through all 8 modules. Below the 8th module is that SPX bonus system we talked about. Now, if you're the kind of person that wants to learn a system right away, I would encourage you to learn the 35 Delta trade. That's a very popular trade. It's also the trade that I take on a weekly basis. It's very simple to do. No repairs. Everything's pretty simple. You can also watch all of our prior office hours and Q&As. Now, again, if you open those up, it's going to show you old dates like November 3rd. You can watch the ones I did from my November class. As you and I get through the new class, those will all be overwritten, and you'll be able to see your classes there as well. You can also go back from my last class and look at the live trading sessions. What trades did Ron do in December of last year? What credit spreads on stocks did he do in December? You can go back and look at all my old trades. Now, as we get through March, those will, of course, all be updated with your class as well. Now, as part of your 2-month live curriculum with me, you're going to get access to Options Pro and VectorVest. We have some tutorial videos for Options Pro that you can view right here. And then right below, we've got the broker help videos. We got Thinkorswim, E-Trade, IB, Ally, and Fidelity. We have the most important thing down here is the live webinars. Now, we send out an email 24 hours before all of the live events. That includes your link to access the live event. But if you don't get the link, don't freak out. You should know when all the live events are because you printed that checklist or that thing at the beginning, right? If you find that you don't have a link to access our live courses, just go in the live webinars and there's all your links. So we have a system in place in case the email doesn't come through. Here's all the links that you're going to need for all of those live sessions. And then last but not least, under resources, this is where you can download all of the materials. So as we go through each lesson, we have slides that are available. Print those out, take notes on them as we're going through them, whatever you need to do. You can print all that stuff out right from there. So that's a quick tour of our university site.
Very good tour, Mr. Wheeler. All right, so we had a few questions come in because I asked everybody if I missed a question to type it in. First off, I want to touch on Richard, who's taking a refresher. he said that he said, for your information, I completed the 2023 S&P paycheck. It was a little challenge that we did last year, and which is basically the bonus module that's included in this full paycheck class. So when Ron was talking about that S&P bonus at the very end of this class, that's what Richard did last year, just that bonus. And he said, I've had 71% winning trades on the S&P over 2 months.
Beautiful.
And he says, after getting the Schwab options account set up. So thank you for sharing that, Richard. Great to hear. Okay, so 2 questions. One is from Paul. Paul says, can you explain how the access to VectorVest and Options Pro works with the enrollment in this course? Sure, Paul, if you don't have access to VectorVest or Options Pro right now, I believe that the VectorVest might turn on right away, but the Options Pro, at least the Options Pro, maybe even VectorVest would turn on by February 1st or 2nd. It'll be the very beginning of the month, and John can let me know in the, he's a member of our team, he can let me know in the chat. But by the beginning of class, so they don't turn on immediately. The access will turn on when the live sessions start. Well, there's a live session on January 30th, but by February 1st, because we have to wait for the beginning of the month for the Options Pro to turn on. That'll be February 1st, and you'll have access to that. And then you'll have access for basically February, and I believe all the way through March. I believe it's March 25th. You have access to the software. All right, Richard H. Richard H. says, and this one is more for you, Mr. Wheeler. I'm going to pass this one too. He says, what would be the minimum recommended amount of money required in the account? You might as well, while you're there, Ron, just answer, is there a maximum or ideal amount?
No, there's the minimum. You could open up a $5,000 account, just like, Brian did. Not you, Brian, but our Brian client did. He had $6,000. With $6,000, you can trade the S&P 500 very easily, averaging that hopefully 3% per month. I would tell you, if you're saying, Ron, be square with me. What should I start with at a low amount? I would tell you 25 grand's a nice number. Why? Because you can trade the S&P. You can do a couple stock trades. You can kind of get your hooks in a little bit of everything. Now, I will also tell you, this system starts to get a little bit harder to navigate when you get into that $400,000 to $500,000 range. Why? Because option liquidity starts to get to be a problem. It's going to be hard for you to place 50 or 100 contracts on a stock, unless it's like Amazon or Microsoft or something like that. So, that's why I trade 100 grand. It's a nice now number. I can get into a lot of different things, but it's going to, anything over like 400 or 500 grand, you're going to be limited to like, maybe 15 stocks in the S&P. So I always say that's kind of where it limits out at that point.
All right, this last question is from our YouTube stream from Ellie, I believe. It says, is there any other broker than Thinkorswim that you place the trades with? And because Ellie's saying that, saying that they're in Canada and Thinkorswim is going to be discontinued in Canada. So just wanted to see, maybe you could say that you showed it a little while ago, all the different brokers that you highlight.
Yeah, I do personally, I put orders in live with Thinkorswim and Fidelity. Those are the brokers that I use personally. We've got videos. I know we're kind of limited on Canada, but if IB is available, we have videos for them. I can't believe they would discontinue Thinkorswim in Canada. That's crazy because it's such a good broker. But I use Fidelity here in the States, and I use Thinkorswim. Those are the ones that I have access to. Obviously, it's hard for me to have access to Canadian brokers as a U.S. citizen, but those are the ones that I use.
All right. Well, with that, Ron, I think we are all set to wrap up. So just a quick reminder, the $9.95 is good for, I believe it's like 15 more minutes. And just go to optionspaycheck.com. And if you have any questions, the phone number is available on that order page. It's just 888-658-7638. But Mr. Wheeler, I'm going to pass it over to you for anything that you want to say before we wrap up tonight.
All right. Well, thank you, Brian, and thank you to my other colleagues in the background that were answering questions during the course. And especially thanks to all of you. I appreciate you sticking with me for this 90 minutes. I hope I opened your eyes to a different methodology of trading. It really has changed my life and the way I trade. I used to be a day trader, did very well at that, but I switched to this because it's so hands off and so easy. Less analysis, more probability. You can't ask for anything else as an investor. So I hope I'll see all of you guys in a couple of weeks as we start off with the options paycheck there on January 30th. I look forward to working with you over the next 2 months. We are really going to make a great difference in your life. So thanks once again for attending. I definitely appreciate it. Hope you all have the best of 2024 and especially have a great evening. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Take care, everyone.